Hi everyone, I'm so happy. I have this a special guest on my show today. I actually met her in person. The funny thing about that is many people being want me to meet her before I actually met up with her in person. And the reason is that when they find out I in the surrogacy space and I want to expand that service into a mobile app where more people can have more assistance on reproduction, they were saying you had to meet this amazing girl and that what she does would be something that have the same type of mission as you and you guys should definitely work and collaborate. So funny thing is people there's three people been telling me that and then I just don't know how to connect with her. And then they were saying like I and so Lauren's here. I'm just gonna say it. So people would say, oh, you should go to this event. Let me introduce you because I think she might be there. Um, but we keep missing each other. So then finally, I just reach out to her. I just say, hey, so many people have been talking about how we should meet. Can we meet for lunch or something? And thank you for willing to meet with me. And you're so lovely, and I'm so happy to meet you. And then when we decided to meet at this little coffee shop, turned out that we both know the owner.
Yeah.
So it was just, I think when you are a businesswoman, especially when you just start on something, somehow your circle get really small because there's only so many of us, right? And then it was so nice to meet each other. Yeah.
Um, totally. It's the universe wanted us to know each other, and so here we are. And thanks for having me. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, and then I'm really excited about what you have been doing for helping and empowering more women. I know recently you were on a panel or you were doing a presentation in Boston.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'm sure you definitely kicking ass. And then I'm so proud of you. So I'm gonna let you to talk about your company and what your
Yeah.
mission is, what you do, right?
Yeah.
So
Would love to. So I am the co-founder and CEO of a company called Cofertility, and we enable women to freeze their eggs for free when they donate half of the eggs retrieved to intended parents that can't otherwise conceive. So that could be someone who struggles with fertility challenges, someone who maybe tried to get pregnant later in life and had diminished ovarian reserve, or same-sex male couples who need the help of an egg donor to have a baby. But we essentially help make egg donation less transactional and make egg freezing more accessible at the same time. Ultimately, we feel that egg freezing is this amazing science that exists, and it helps so many people to have a baby later in life. But the cost is really the number one barrier, right? Like the best time to freeze your eggs is
yes.
when you can least afford it, and so we're putting the two together to help address problems on both sides.
No, and that was smart. And it's something that Wendy was telling me about co-fertility. I love your concept. And then I love the mission behind it because myself having always encouraged college girl to freeze their egg, right? Because I actually went through that process myself. And if it's not for another girlfriend of mine who telling me about egg freezing, be honest with you, I probably won't even have an opportunity to have a family
Yeah.
because that was never heard of. And when you were young, you didn't think that far. I mean, I at least for me, I did it. I think I was still partying and just trying to make
Yeah.
sure I survive. I finished the graduate school or finished the school. And you're right, because most time the best time to A freeze is when you're young, but who has the money for that? And then I remember even when I was first year law school, second year in law school, when my girlfriend was first telling me about A freezing, the cost was it was like 10,000 or
Yeah. So
12,000.
yeah.
And this is like I don't even want to talk about my age, more than 15 years ago. I'm just telling you this.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine the price for that, even though this is something that I really think all women should do, right? It's almost like buying life insurance. And that's what my girlfriend was telling me, who's pretty much my mentor. And she
Yeah.
was only a few years older than me, and she was a doctor. So, you know, you're right. I mean, I'm so glad that somebody come up with this idea and really giving those girl opportunity to A freeze.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's nice about it is that it's solving problems on both sides, right? I think that, and I want to be clear, I don't think egg freezing, it's not a guarantee, it's not an insurance policy, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that there's always a chance, right, that maybe you have frozen eggs that don't survive the thaw, or maybe, egg quality isn't what you expected it to be, right? Like there's definitely things that make it less than perfect, but honestly, anytime biology is involved, it's not perfect, right? But it is something
Yes.
that gives more women a chance at having a baby later in life if they do it, right? Like that's just a fact. But yes, I think it helps to make it more accessible. And as part of our program, women don't just get the opportunity to freeze their eggs for free, they also get to store those eggs for free for up to 10 years. And so
Wow.
storage is really like one of the biggest pain points, right? Like that people don't even realize, it could be anywhere from, $500 a year to $1,000 a year. And so if you want to
I'm
keep
so
those
glad you
eggs,
point this out.
yeah,
Yes, I'm
it's like
so
a
glad you
hidden
point this
cost.
out.
It's a hidden cost, right? And so I think that like, you have it, if you want to keep those eggs there for 8 years, 10 years, like that really adds up. And so we really address that as well. But for the intended
Wow.
parents, one of the things that we know to be true with traditional egg donation, right? Traditional egg donation, an egg donor is paid, $10,000 or more for donating her eggs. The more specific you get with a donor's heritage or education or background, the more and more the cash compensation goes up. And so that can be incredibly hard for intended parents who are looking for a donor who reflects their own background.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to find diverse donors. It's hard to find highly educated donors. And our model just really attracts women that are really ambitious, focused on their careers, and doing something that they see as a way to help their own future while helping someone else at the same time.
That is so smart, and I think that's so great. I didn't know that it also cover the storage fee up to 10 year because honestly, right before, we doing this podcast, I just got a bill for my A freeze, right, for storage. And remind you, I only have like few eggs left because obviously I was using it for having a child myself. And even giving that is more than 10 years now because my son is 10 and I still get a bill for $850 for a egg that might not even
Wow.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and you're right, it's expensive.
it's it's expensive and it adds up, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's um a way for you to sort of, it's like a subscription, like you
it's
keep
a
paying.
very expensive subscription.
Right. Right.
Well, how did you like thought about doing this? I mean, is this something you experienced personally? Like I know for me was my mentor was telling me I should A freeze because she was a breast cancer survivor.
Yeah.
And when she told me about it, I thought I was never heard of, and then I don't know if I should. But how
Yeah.
you came across the idea of A
Yeah.
freezing, which is amazing.
Yeah, well, my own journey certainly like led me to want this company to exist. In 2017, I was diagnosed with an incredibly rare abdominal disease. I'm like one of 150 some odd people on the planet to ever get it. Very rare. I had
Oh wow.
Yeah, I had masses growing throughout my abdomen and was told that I would need to have a number of surgeries to remove the disease and that I would very likely lose my ovaries in the process. And my first thought was like, well, how will I have children someday? Like, I want to have kids. How is that going to work? I'm not ready to have kids now, but if I lose my ovaries, I'll be in trouble. And so um, I I asked, like, can I freeze my eggs? And my doctors said, my disease was so rare that they felt that it was too risky at the time to like try egg freezing for me to like put hormones into my body. And so, had I not had that disease, I definitely would have. But they said egg donation might be my best bet if I lose my ovaries. And so I started looking at egg donation and I was really shocked by what I saw. I couldn't believe how transactional it was, I couldn't believe how expensive it was. And just that, like, donors were promised to be anonymous, which made no sense to me in the event that, 23andMe already existed. Like, how is any donation anonymous?
Yeah.
And at the time, my sister actually decided to freeze her eggs and donate them to me in case I needed them someday.
Oh,
And
thank
so
God you have a sister.
I know I have a sister who, like, you know, I'll never forget, she said to me, I would give my left arm if it meant you got to be a mom. And
Oh, maybe I want to cry.
I
Oh.
know. And she's the most she at the time already had two babies and like knew what it meant to be a mom and knew she wanted that for me. And I'm so grateful for that and feel lucky that now we actually get to raise our kids side by side, But
Yeah.
anyway, at the time she did that, and I ended up going through three major surgeries. Each time wondering, like, will I wake up with no ovaries? And lucky for me, it's still like total miracle, I didn't lose my ovaries in the process, which
Oh.
is still, so hard to believe, and I'm so lucky. But I did get to live my life with the gift of those frozen eggs. And so I got to make decisions about my career without worrying about my biological clock. And I got to make
Hmm.
decisions about my relationship without worrying about my biological clock. And ultimately went on to have my now two kids, a 3.5-year-old and an 8-month-old, um,
Yes.
without using my sister's eggs. And I just knew the minute I gave birth to my oldest that I wanted to build something in this space. And so that's really what it came down to. And my co-founder, Hallie, is an incredible force in all things women's health. She's a longtime investor and entrepreneur. She started a company called Natalist that makes pregnancy tests and ovulation kits, and sold that company, and had her own winding road of a fertility journey where she felt really strongly that this company needed to exist. And so we came
Oh no,
together.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
egg sharing, which is the concept that we have really brought to bear here, is something that is done in small pockets all over the world. So it's done
Mhm.
in the UK on a clinic level, or at a handful of clinics in the US. And we think that that's great, but it really never took off because no one was doing it at scale in a really thoughtful way. And that's what we've been able to do, which has been super exciting to see it out in the world.
Yeah, it's true because I have an agency, so a lot of time when our clients choose male, what they would do is actually split the egg
Yeah.
retrieval.
Yep.
And you're right, it's very transactional, and especially if they're looking for a certain indication and so on. And then I hate to say it, but it's almost like how much I can sell my egg for. It's very transactional, and
Yeah.
then it can be very pricey, and it's almost impossible, and you can't even use credit card obviously, so
Right.
it's almost impossible for people that really truly wanted to have family and they just can't afford it, right? So yeah. And part of it also, the one the a donor that kind of look like them, at least it's a similarity, so it's even harder for them to find the a donor that they would like or pursue, especially with the high cost. And I like the fact that your company also, right away, you were saying, you wanted to take that transactional part of it out. And in a way, is you helping both sides, I think. I mean, a lot of, how's the girl feel about it how you recruit them or how you tell
Yeah.
them?
I mean, I think that for them, it's honest. It's like, look, you have the opportunity to both do something for your own future while helping grow another family at the same time. And
Yeah.
either that's something that you feel really aligned with and something that you want to do, or you say, you know what, no, I'm not really into that. If, I want to go get paid to donate my eggs, that's cool too. Like, I think there's room for both. And I think it's really just like what resonates with you. And that's what you should do. I think for any, like, co-fertility in general, we're all about choice. Like, we want there to be more
Mhm.
options for more people. And
Yeah.
we know that the way that families are built today is more dynamic than it's ever been. And
Yes.
we just want to provide more options for people to do that.
And like you said, a lot of time, I think women are having children or start family much later now. And one of the things that I always telling people thinking about egg freezing is there's no biological clock. So if you are focused what you're doing right now, like you at least have the option to do it. So, and you're right, it's not 100% guarantee, but at least you have some kind of option, right? Maybe.
Totally.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's more options than you would have had if you don't do it.
Exactly. And then look at you. Now you have two little one. And
Yeah.
you're a great mom. So I am so happy that
Thank you.
everything worked out for you.
They are my miracle babies. And I think like that's something too is like the how we get to parenthood like may be a winding road or it may not be what you expect it to be, but I think like being focused on that outcome of the, getting there someday is really the key.
And then And then that's really encouraging to know because I know a lot of people wanted to have children and they have to go and do a lot of obstacles and finance, right? Money is definitely one of the big parts. So I think what you're trying to accomplish here is actually giving that possibility of option make it more easier for people who truly wanted to have a family. And like you said, you always based on option and choice.
Yeah,
So it's up to the girl if they want to do that or not,
totally.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah.
and then another thing about the girl that you recruit, they all have high education, which that's amazing. I think that, yeah.
And it's not all. I mean, I think 55% of our donors have a graduate degree or higher, which is incredibly
Wow.
educated. We have a lot of, I seriously, sometimes I read their profiles. I'm like, wow, you're like, what am I doing with my life? You're really ambitious.
Well,
But
you're doing
sometimes,
great. Look at what
thank
you're
you.
doing.
No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't change a thing. But I think, there are women who maybe come with other strengths and, things that are make them really matchable split members, as we call them, or matchable donors who are excited, who intend parents are
Mhm.
excited to match with. So, no, I don't want someone to hear this and think, oh, I shouldn't apply because I don't have a graduate degree. Like, you do not need that. Um,
Okay,
Yes,
good.
just like
Yes.
being a well-rounded, authentic version of yourself. We have profiles that like, show who someone is as a person. And that I think goes a really long way. But these women are just excited about the opportunity to do it and to be a part of the way that somebody else grows their family.
I like that. I like that. Because like I said, when my client looking for a certain indication and it's very difficult and the price is pretty high. Um, and it does make it sound very transactional. And a lot of time when you get somebody's donor, I don't know if people would know this, you actually don't get to know them or their personality, not much,
Well,
right?
At Cofertility, you do. So we offer disclosed
Perfect.
relationships where they actually have the opportunity to have what we call a match meeting, where they have the opportunity to get on a Zoom call with one of our member advocates and meet and make sure that it feels like a good, you know, situation for everybody involved. And so we provide, you know, like they're kind of like table topics, but it's for a Zoom meeting. So conversation starters almost, where
Yeah.
we help facilitate the conversation because it's a big deal, right? And
No, I love that.
yeah, I think it's important to at least again give the option of do you want to meet this person? And some intended parents may say, you know what, no, I don't really want to meet. And then others may say, yes, that's exciting, and I do want to meet. And so we are again just giving those options and give them the chance to know each other.
And then I think that's a really strong point because personally, if I need a donor, I would love to meet my donor just because a lot of time, personality, how you know what I mean? Like you said, you want someone who's all around it. And when you don't actually meet with them or talk to them, all you see is the list. It's just not the same. Because a lot of time when my client looking for certain aid donor, they pretty much give me a checklist, right? He's like, Evie, this is my order. So
Yeah,
go find it.
yeah,
But for me, who actually get to meet those donor of like, I know they fit in the criteria, but I wish they can just talk because there's another donor, maybe it doesn't fit all your checklist, but I personally think would be much a greater candidate. So yeah.
Yeah. I think that's kind of coaching, right? Like I am, I'm thinking of an intended parent who said, I only want a donor from like this type of school, or Ivy League college. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
what about a donor who maybe was valedictorian of their high school class and then got a full ride to, you know, another school that is an Ivy League, but probably got accepted to all the Ivy Leagues. And they were like, oh,
Right.
okay, you're right. I'll talk to that donor, right? It's like being a little bit less like steadfast in exactly what you're looking for in a donor and
Hmm.
maybe a little more open-minded in the sense that like you never know. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
And
a good one. That's a good example that you give because I actually have this is what's happened when my client is that they're looking for certain height because they wanted to
yeah,
make sure the genes like there's a possibility the kid's going to be tall.
yeah,
But then there's another girl who, another donor, probably just an inch or 2 inch shorter, because the checklist is 5'7" or something like that, or 5'8", where this other girl is 5'5". To me, that's still tall because, I mean, Lauren, you and I, we're tiny.
I'm five
So,
five.
okay, wait, fine, you're 5'5", I'm fine, I'm tiny, I'm fine to me.
Yeah,
Okay, so a 5'5", even though not 5'7",
yeah,
which I think is a better candidate who's smart, who's
yeah.
rounded, but because they're less, they would kick that person out
Well,
already.
I think my biggest question is like figure out what are your like non-starters and then figure out what are your nice to haves. Like,
Hmm.
is it nice to have someone who's 5'7" and higher, or is that like a hard requirement? Whereas,
Right.
a hard requirement of someone's heritage or, um, their interests or things like that, right? Like I had an intended parent once who both of them were biologists and they
Mm.
really wanted their donor to work in STEM. They wanted somebody who had a sciences background, and that to them was far more important than even than heritage. They just wanted someone who like potentially could be interested in the same things they're interested in someday. And like, I hate to break it to them, they may have a child who is, an artist,
Yeah.
but because you can't control
It's so
that,
great.
you can't
Yeah, you
control
can.
it, but everybody has different things that are important to them. So one family may say height is the most important thing, whereas another family height might just be a nice to have. And so I like to understand like what are you indexing for? What are your main goals here and what's a must have versus a nice to have?
Thank you. That's a great tip for an intended parent looking for donor. So for intended parent out there, those are like the tip, right? It's almost like when you go on date. That's
Well,
the
it's
dating
funny.
tip.
It's funny you should say that because my husband and I met on Hinge, the dating app,
Oh
and
wow, really?
we met on Hinge,
Good
and at the
work.
time, wait, get this. At the time, I was 28, and
Okay.
I think, probably going to turn 29 like in a couple weeks. And so I had my filters set. I wanted to meet someone who was 28 and older. My husband also happened to be 28, but he wanted to meet someone who was 28 and younger. And it just so happens for 48 days of the year, we're both 28. And so, had we met outside of that like 2 week window where we're both 28, we would have filtered each other out, right?
Oh wow.
And so, I think about that a lot as I think about this process where it's like, if someone checks every other box that an intended parent has, but she's an inch shorter than your criteria, are you really willing to like
Yeah,
let this perfect donor walk away? Like,
exactly.
my husband would not be my husband, my kids would not be my kids if we had met any other time.
That's a really good story. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
No, it's true. And that's what I was saying. Like, I like the fact Cofertility get to have like a meet, like some kind of meet, do Zoom or whatever. I think that's great because, and then also the tip that you're giving them, because a lot of time when I try to tell them, I'm like, because I get to see the donor, and then I wish they can see that or me, you know? So
Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
So what would be the next thing for Cofertility? How you see Cofertility gonna be? What would be your next project or goal?
I feel so like laser focused on what we're doing right now. I just want it to be ubiquitous. Like I want every woman between the age of 21 and 34 to like have egg freezing on her radar and to know that it doesn't have to be out of reach, right? And so I'm just
Mm,
very focused on making that a reality.
yeah, it's true. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And now it could be reality because if the cost is something that you're worried of, now we
Yeah.
have Cofertility.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
And how you even manage that? I know you're laser focused on co-fertility, but as you were just sharing, you have two little one. One is only 8 months, one's 3. I mean, when we met, I was like, that was the first day she's going to go school full time or something, or like
Yeah,
a
it was
whole
her
entire
first day.
day.
Her first day
Yeah.
napping at school.
Yeah. The napping girl. She was saying now
Yeah.
she's a napper. I
Yes.
remember.
Yes, you have a
Yeah.
very good memory. Yes. Now she's a
Yeah,
nap.
because you were a little bit worried, and I was like, "Wow, today's the first date." But she seemed pretty excited when you drop her
Yeah.
off. I thought.
Yes. She was excited. She's doing it, but she's not thrilled about napping at school, I'll tell you
Oh, okay.
that.
Well, but how you manage
Yeah.
everything, and
You know,
yeah,
I think that like I it's hard. Full stop, it's hard. I am very lucky that I have the team that I have. Like I have such an amazing leadership team and also just like everyone at Cofertility is very committed to the mission. So would not be able to like function if that wasn't in place. I also
yeah.
have the best husband who's like super supportive of the work that I'm doing and is, just an enabler of all things and helps make sure that I eat lunch. But
Oh,
I'd be lying if I said it was easy, right? Like I wake up before my kids wake up so I can work before they're up. And then
oh
I
my
like
gosh.
to make breakfast and get them ready and um that time is with them. And so I am tired sometimes, but it's worth it. Like
Yeah.
if you ask my 3-year-old, like, what do I do? What does your mommy do for work? She'll say she helps people have babies. And like,
Oh,
if I can't think of a better way to like spend my working hours. And so I try to like work when I'm working and then I try to be mom when I'm mom.
hmm.
And trying to find the pockets in between to like be just myself, but that's a challenge. So doing my
And
best.
now what about date night? What about your marriage?
Yeah,
You know what? You two are supposed to meet. I mean, even just the story just to
totally.
share.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
he's the one.
yeah. Oh my god, totally. He is there. There, I knew that first date actually.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
basically, maybe 2 or 3 dates in, but I was pretty sure after the first one.
Aw.
Yeah, I mean, we are lucky to have found some great help from a babysitting front, but also my parents live nearby, and so
Oh,
um,
good.
we try to. We went out for dinner last night. During
Oh.
dinner, we talked about like what is our schedule like, for the week.
Yeah,
But like, it's important, and so we find time where we can. We like to
I
stay
know.
in alignment.
I kind of get that sense, but I just want you to share that with everyone
Yeah,
because when we met up for coffee, I know it was near your birthday.
yeah,
Uh, he was so sweet. He tried to get you a gift and
yeah,
stuff. So,
yeah.
um, I
I
haven't met your husband yet, but I can sense
Not
like
yet. You
yes.
haven't. I hope you will. But he's like, he's he's the right person. He was worth the frogs that I had to kiss along the way.
Yes. So, one more question I always ask
Yeah.
everyone to be on the show is that if you can give one advice to the younger self, right, to your younger self, what would that be?
Uh, oof.
I know you have so many wisdom, but like, what would be one thing you wish someone to tell you?
Trust the universe. That
Mm,
like I think actually I love Gabby Bernstein, who's like a spiritual guru, self-help writer. She's like 10 amazing books. And she's very much of the mindset like when you really want something, instead of being like, oh, I want this thing, to keep in mind that you want this or something better. Right. So like if the thing
Mm.
doesn't work out that you're like gunning for or working really hard toward, like it means something better is happening. And that has like time and time again proven to be true in my life. And I wish that I knew that younger. I think it would have saved me a lot of heartbreak and fear, if I had just known that, like, be just sure that everything is going to work out just fine, and that maybe there's a different plan that I just don't know about, you know?
Lauren, I feel like the universe is having you to tell me this today because as you know, as a founder,
Yeah.
is just so many fear. I mean, for me, there's so many fear because I'm like, is this gonna work? Am I gonna
Yeah.
make it? I need to fundraise. It's just yeah, thank you.
Yeah. It's
So
it's true.
so thank you for sharing that. That's definitely a great wisdom. And I can't wait to see how much more co-fertility can help with more girls to really freeze and then provide that option for them. And then I really like the idea what co-fertility is behind and the mission. This is something that I truly believe in, and I really think that like your daughter would say, you are helping people to have baby.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's such a great job to have.
Thank you. Yeah, totally. And I so appreciate you having me on, and this was fun.
Yeah. Well, me and you're gonna see each other soon,
Definitely.
hopefully. And
Yeah,
then we're probably gonna meet somewhere in another event. Or me and you can
totally.
just grab coffee.
Yes.
Okay?
All
So
right.
thank you.
Thank you.